Shot 81 is looking for a practice game. Want to see if he's interested. All-rounder from Mexico. Well, he accepted my challenge. Let's say hello. And then zoom in on the screen. So he gets to go first. He's an all-rounder, it says, so could play anything. I was wanting to play a static rook, but I guess we'll do a bishop exchange. Oh, I could have taken with the silver. I don't know why I just took with the rook. Okay, what now? I have a bishop drop here. He can block with a pawn or a knight. If he blocks with the pawn, I just take it. I mean, it's a skewer of the rook and the king, so it should win the exchange here. And if the knight comes up here, I can just take it. If the pawn comes up here, I can take it. And the rook can't move. Maybe he has a good counter drop. He could drop the bishop here. Yeah, drop the bishop here, attacking my rook, defending his rook, and it's defended by the knight. That would save everything. So then I take, he takes, and I drop again. Oh, he puts the bishop there. Well, I still have to take, I guess, because he's hitting this pawn in front of my king. Okay, let's stop with the fooling around. I mean, I could drop the bishop in a way that attacks a pawn, huh? This pawn is loose, and this pawn is loose. And this pawn is loose. This pawn is loose. Bong, bong. So dropping a bishop here would attack this pawn and this pawn. And then I have loose pawns as well. I have a loose pawn here. And so let's go ahead and move the gold up in front of the king and protect some of these pawns. And he brought a silver up to protect some of his pawns. So now I don't have this bishop drop anymore. I still have one loose pawn here. So let's protect that and this one. It's having one loose pawn is usually not a problem because you can just defend it. So in this situation, I don't really know where I'm castling or where the bishops will end up. So if I attack this pawn, he could drop a piece to defend it. Why don't we bring this silver up here? I also don't know where his king is going. I was wondering, you know, I mean, I could just, now that my rook is over here, I could try and make sense of the rook placement by just pushing this pawn, trying to open up a line into his camp. Okay, but I'll bring my silver out first. Now, where are the bishop drops for him? This row is covered, this is covered. There's actually a bishop drop right here. And here also. And anyway, now that I've shielded my king here, or my rook. I have a bishop drop here. Maybe I had it before. Let's see if he finds it. If he goes there. Okay, so from that location, bishop can come here or here. Those are all protected. Or here is protected. It could still go to this square. That's the biggest issue here. Yeah, what I probably should have done is protected the silver here. Let's go ahead and do that now. The silver protects the knight, gold protects the silver. His horse can take my lance. But the pawns are all protected, so the horse is actually going to have trouble getting out of this area. But it's not in any danger at the moment. Oh, it looks like he's got a similar idea. He's going to try and trap my horse, or which is my bishop, which is soon to be a horse. I'm going to go ahead and take here. What I found is that these pieces are kind of hard to trap. They kind of defend themselves. They cover all the squares around them. And you know, once you've grabbed a piece like a lance, you can use that. I can drop the lance here, for example. And he can do the same thing. He can drop the lance here. Well, I get to go first this time at least. After I take the knight, my horse could step up and then come out via one of these, taking this pawn or this pawn. That's what I'm thinking. So I'll take here. He can take back with either the silver or the rook. And then I'll step up here, threatening to come out via this square or this square. Oh, I could just take his rook. I think a rook is more valuable than a horse. And I do have a check. Yes, so I can take the silver and promote. And he can start dropping things here. But now I have a silver in hand and a knight. Yep, there he goes. So he'll be able to get that knight. So I drop the silver here with check. He can take it with either of those rooks. I guess what I'd like to do is pin this gold so that I can drop a silver here and attack it. Yeah, and he got my knight. Don't see at the moment that he has any great knight drops, but we'll see what he comes up with. Okay, so he ignores what I'm doing. Well, I can exchange once here because that's with check. And then I can even drop a piece here because that's also with check. Or it threatens, it doesn't quite threaten mate, but it does threaten devastation. This is protected. Yeah, let's step back. Okay, actually he could have kept coming forward. That would have been fine for him as well. Now he's looking at this square, I guess. Knight here to attack that. Gold here to attack the gold. He will just defend. I'll take here and defend this pawn. Okay, so it looks like I've got a central castle. And this promoted lance, I think it was. Can't come here, I'll take it. Can't go here, I'll take it. He can drop more pieces. He can bring more pieces in to drop, like dropping a silver here. I guess I will take that too. Drop a silver here. I move my gold aside, and then he can drop something here, or move this guy in maybe. If I were to move this out of the way, my rook would be reaching across here. Maybe I could chase his horse away. Okay, yeah, he's looking for a good silver drop. Oh, he goes there. Okay, let's go ahead and put some pressure on that lance, that promoted lance. Pushing a pawn, maybe bringing the rook over to this file. Be nice to drop a knight on this square, except his pawn is guarding it, so. Opponent disconnected. Well, it's a practice game, so it won't matter who is. Doesn't matter if I'm declared a winner. Oh, there he goes. He's back. Okay, he grabbed that pawn. Yeah, I think I just have to slowly try and open up another line towards his king. I don't know. I mean, dragon here would attack this lance and indirectly the horse. Could drop a pawn here and promote it. Okay, yeah, it looks like he's trying to creep in closer here. That's what I thought he was going to do at first. Yeah, he could come in here. And I'm going to continue my policy of running. The square is protected by the gold, so we can't drop a piece there, or if he does drop a piece there, I can take it. And he can't drop anything there that checks me. Because he's got, what, a lance, a knight, and a bishop in hand. He can't even, not even legal to drop a lance there, because it has no squares to move to. Okay, he's attacking my rook, or my dragon. Again, counterattack his bishop, or his horse. Yeah, so I wonder, can I actually capture that horse then? If I drop a gold here, can't go back this way, can't go this way, you can step here. And then I don't have any way to increase the pressure. So I guess I wanted to put the rook here, but I realized that would be taking away that last square from my king. It's a little scary to do that. Let's go ahead and open things up here. Yeah, now he is attacking this guy again. Maybe it works this time. Ah, right, because I moved my bishop, my silver away. Okay, that would be a mistake. He could take this pawn then and skewer my rook and king. Okay, maybe I should have just taken here with check, except he can move a piece up and then I would have to move back, so I need to take care of my problems first, I guess. Lance, knight, and gold, and pawn. It's knight golden pawn. Yeah, he can move to this square, hitting my dragon again, and threatening to drop something here. He has a gold in hand now. I can defend with my dragon. He just drops the gold directly. Okay. So when he takes here, yeah, let's go ahead and take this with check. Oh, he just drops a pawn there. I think I am going to let him win that. Yeah, he spotted that idea. So let's drop a gold here so that after he takes, I'll have a gold near my king for defense. And now I have a bishop in hand. Let's see if I could do something better with that than I did. He's got a rook and a bishop in hand. I can drop another bishop. But, well, this is defended. Drop a knight here. Hits the silver. I can defend it with a pawn. And I can drop a pawn here, and he takes and then drop a pawn there. Might disorganize his castle a bit. He drops a pawn. Interesting. Okay, so my idea was to drop a knight here. You know, now I have an angle piece. I could consider putting my rook on the back rank and dropping the bishop here to mate him. I think I used that mating pattern already once in one of my games. Okay, yeah, he retreated. But let's go ahead with my original plan. That was to drop a pawn here. So if he attacks my knight, I'll have a square to grunt to. The king just runs. Okay, let's go ahead and take there. Don't want to promote. Let's do this because it's check. That's what I wanted. And then let's take this. Can promote this time. Doesn't matter. He's going to take it, I assume. Then we can break in with the dragon. First, I guess, check to see if there's an immediate win. But yeah, I need a piece in the neighborhood of his king there. Yep. So let's play the check. Okay, drop to silver for defense. So that's pinned. So this is loose. So if I attack this, with a lance, for example, I could drop a pawn. I could take. I was thinking at the end he takes and then I drop a silver here. He could step back to defend. I take the silver. He takes back. Drop another lance there. Bishop here. Knight here. I don't have a knight. Okay, just stepping closer and attacking this silver. Which moves here and protects that. Let's see. So I drop a pawn here. Okay, I'll start with the gold here. Then distracting this gold will be good. Probably this was a wasted move where I chased his silver. Just put it closer to the action. Okay, so next I'm going to drop a lance here. And then if he does the natural reaction of dropping a piece to defend, I will just take it. Not promote. Because if he steps aside, I want to be able to take this piece. This is to drag the gold away from defense of this silver here. Aha. He attacks the I can go ahead and promote here. He can take with the king, but I get to take the silver then. And the king there. So I've got another gold I can drop, and then his king will be confined to these two squares. And the silver drop will put him there. How about gold here? Oh, I think I step in with the gold first. Yeah, this is probably best. He could run out this way. Yeah, that's good. Okay, if I drop a bishop here to keep him from running out this way. What have I got? I've got bishop, gold, 2 silvers. Well, we'll start with the silver. Yeah, it keeps running forward. So now I thought that, well, the gold here would take care of a lot of things. Force him to this square, and the silver here would mate. That's it. Gold here. And silver here. And he's got nowhere to run to. He can't come forward because of this silver and this pawn. And can't go backwards because of this gold and his own pieces. And the silver covers all the squares where he is standing. All right. Well, that was a nice win. Let's say thank you. And have a nice day. Go back to full screen mode there. So that was kind of an up and down game. Let's take a look at that with Shogi Dokuro and Elmo and see what Elmo has to say about that. See you then. Bye. Well, as you might have noticed, there were a lot of mistakes in this game, and you can see it pretty clearly in the graph here with all these bars jumping up and down. Bars above the line are good for my opponent, and below the line are good for me. And my opponent was winning for a good section here in the middle, but well, I managed to win at the end. And the mistakes came pretty early on. So anyway, hopefully you enjoyed the game anyway, and there's a lot to learn from these mistakes, so let's go through them. So starting off, the first mistake, well, it's kind of a minor mistake to do this exchange. The general thought is that because Gote in this case can just take back, and both sides have a bishop in hand and pretty much identical formations, it's just like a free developing move. So it's a one-turn loss bishop exchange. It's not that serious, so it's not like a bad mistake, but a minor mistake. And then similarly, my answer was a mistake. I didn't take with the silver. I took, for some reason, with the rook. And after that, there's a nice bishop drop that my opponent has in this position. That'd be bishop to this square. And that is a fork between this pawn and this pawn, both of which are undefended. And because of that, this bishop is going to get to promote. Now, it turns out there is a way to defend. I don't know if I would have been able to find this, but if you look at the computer line, it says, Sente drops the bishop to 6e, and Gote replies with bishop drop to 7d. So if we clear that and look at this, so Sente drops the bishop here, Gote drops the bishop here. And so that defends the pawn. And after Sente takes this pawn, then Gote can take this pawn. And so the damage isn't too severe, but well, you have to be clever and find that. So it's still a mistake to take with the rook. I'm not sure. I used to know these things, Not sure why all of my memory went out the window all of a sudden, but I was just playing like a beginner this game. So that was the first move. First beginnerish mistake by me. And then now this one was interesting. I don't think this was a mistake particularly, but Elmo does. It thinks that I should just move my silver up, which makes sense. That's a good move. But what's wrong with dropping the bishop here? Well, once again, he can drop his bishop on 6e. Yeah, this is a computer line. Instead of dropping the bishop there, it wants to once again drop the bishop on 6e, taking advantage of this fork, which is still there, and just allowing me to take the rook. I think in this early part of the game, having a rook in hand isn't all that valuable, whereas my opponent would get a horse and a bishop in hand, and so that might be really, really good for my opponent. But anyway, I don't know if I would play like that, even if I was told that was the right way to play. But for what it's worth, the computer thinks that's a good line for Sente, for my opponent. Anyway, he just blocked. So this is about even. Let's see, what's the next mistake? Oh yeah, right here. When the silver moves up, there's this square here is available for a bishop drop, and that's pretty good. So both of us ignored these bishop drop opportunities for a while. You'll see in the game we eventually start some bishop drops. I do the same thing, opening up this square for his bishop drop, which he takes advantage of in a move or two. So we're both kind of ignoring these possibilities, but eventually, yeah, he dropped a bishop, although he dropped it to 7i for some reason rather than 8 or 7a instead of 8b. But pretty similar idea, and so I started thinking about bishop drops too, I guess, at this point, and I dropped my bishop. And so this is all in the range of about even. The one good move I played here was bringing my rook over to defend the silver. That was approved by the computer, and that's kind of a logical move. So all about even through here. And then right here, my opponent makes a mistake, giving me the advantage by taking with the rook. In this case, taking with the rook, it's not about the rook versus bishop exchange or rook versus horse, but it's the fact that I can drop the rook immediately, and not only do I have a dragon in his camp, but I also win a piece. So it's about winning that silver. And so now I have an advantage, and I should probably just go on to win this game, but no, not at all. Right here, this was interesting. So I realized, and the computer recommended move is to drop the gold, and I realized this was a possible move, and I was thinking about it, and I just did not see the continuation. But there's kind of a neat continuation there. I dropped the gold. He drops the silver to defend, so he puts a silver on this square. And then I have a knight in hand, and I drop the knight here. So the knight is looking at this square. And so there's no way to directly attack the knight, but this indirectly attacks it because the square is not really, it's not defensible. I'm actually threatening to take that pawn. It can't take with the king because my gold is here, and it can't take with the gold because the gold is pinned against the king by my dragon. So I can attack that pawn, and it can't be defended. And when I take that pawn, I am bringing another piece to attack his gold here, which is what I wanted to do. So, so I actually have a pretty good attack still, and I should have just continued with it there. And instead, I didn't see the continuation of the attack, and I backed up here, played a defensive move, which is, I mean, in general, that's not a bad idea. If you can't continue the attack, you may need to defend when your opponent has pieces in your camp. But in this case, I could have continued the attack. So anyway, that took the momentum out of my attack. And, you know, I still had some opportunities, but I gave them up and retreated my dragon all the way out of his camp. And then he had an opportunity here. It's this, well, maybe in the next move. He could have dropped a pawn at 7f, and that just keeps my dragon shut out, and then he would be pretty comfortable. But anyway, I don't play the strongest moves here. I was having trouble figuring out where to continue, how to continue. The Elmo is recommending just bringing the dragon back. What's this with the retreating dragon? The dragon belongs in your opponent's camp. So that's an important thing to learn. But instead of bringing my rook into his camp, I was trying to use, or my dragon, I was trying to use my dragon to defend. And so I moved it over to the side, attacking his gold. And now it's all about even, I guess. Let's see, he steps aside. I was attacking his horse, I mean. He steps aside with the horse, and I push a pawn. And then it's even until my next big mistake, which is here. And now he has the advantage. So this move is doubly bad. First, it's bad, which I recognize this was a problem during the game. It's blocking in my king, so I can't escape this way. So that makes my king easier to mate. Always be suspicious of moves like that. But the second problem is I'm not actually making a threat. I can't take that pawn. I do during the game and get away with it, sort of. But it was really not safe for me to take that pawn. And you might think about that for a while as I go through the game, and we'll get to that point. So he's winning from here, and let's see. He continues his attack, and I bring my silver back. He brings his he trades off some of the defenders around my king, so it's a good strategy in general. And then he played gold 7b here. Yeah, this is a point where he had a really nice tactic. Instead of gold 7b, it was to drop the gold at 6a, and I'll give you a second to see if you can see the point of that sacrifice. Okay, I'm going to give the answer away. Pause the video if you want time to think about it. When he drops the gold at 6a, it's attacking my silver as well as checking my king. So if I just run with the king, he can just take the silver, and it's a free piece. And I don't know if he takes with the horse. I guess my king can run, but so maybe he would just take with the gold. But that's good. So why can't I just take that gold? The problem is if I take the gold, my king will be on this square, and he's got a bishop in hand, so he can drop the bishop to this square, and it's a fork. It's a fork of my dragon over here and the king, and it's defended by the horse here, and that square is not guarded in any way except by the king. So that just purely wins a dragon. Well, it's a dragon for a horse because he has to sacrifice the horse to win the dragon. But if I don't take it, then he wins this silver for nothing. So that's a missed opportunity for my opponent there. Pretty good shot he had there. Let's see. So he dropped his gold here instead. And then I take the pawn. So now this is your second chance. I told you I couldn't take that pawn. Do you see the reason why? The reason why is he's got a lance in hand. He can just drop that lance there. And that's just bad for me. Notice that all the squares on this side are covered by his pawns. Squares on this side covered by his pawn and his silver. So and there's just no escape. Anyway, like I said, it was a very beginnerish game. Let's get back to the game here. So he didn't do that. He dropped a pawn, and so since he missed his opportunity to really kill me, eventually he did cash in by forcing this exchange of his horse for my rook. But he didn't seem to know what to do with his material. He's got so much stuff in hand. He's got a rook, he's got a bishop, he's got a silver, he's got a horse, he's got a lance. It's his move. My king is open to checks from the side. There are 2 golds nearby, which is a pretty secure defense. How does the Elmo recommends starting with a bishop drop to 4c. Yeah, that's a nice move. It restricts the motion of my king, and the bishop is also attacking the horse, and on its next move it can promote because it's in my camp. So that'd be a good way to continue the attack, even if there's no immediate forced mate. It's got to be good for my opponent. Instead, he dropped a pawn, which is hard to understand. I mean, pawns eventually will promote and become strong, but it's just really slow. And he's got all those pieces in hand. So this is how I was able to turn the game around. I was able to drop some pieces in his camp, and he kept falling back. And around here, I have a slight advantage. Well, actually a pretty good advantage. I have managed to turn it around in just a couple of moves. And then, let's see, one more mistake here. Yeah, he's got a good move here that he was not playing. It was this his last chance to play it? Yeah, it was knight drop to 7d. He can drop a knight there. He had this chance at several points during the game up to this point. Even after I dropped my knight, he could have countered with a knight drop counterattack over here. And that would be good. That's another way to get a foothold in my camp and then start looking for more pieces to drop, or maybe just eliminate one of those defenders near the king. Well, he missed that chance. And then after this, let's see, finally at this point, after he moves the gold there, I bring my dragon to the back rank. Let's see, there were other moves. Yeah, pawn 4g. Pawn 4g is a good move that the computer, the Elmo, is recommending a pawn drop right here to disrupt the defenses around his king. And that's an opportunity. But even though I didn't play the best move here, I still started to play some moves that give me an advantage. Yeah, there was one nice defensive idea here. He could have, instead of dropping the silver, he could have dropped a lance. And he can drop the lance. He can drop the lance to this square, totally immobilizing, or nearly immobilizing my dragon, at least stopping it from moving in this direction. So that would have been a better defense. That's why the bars are shooting up and down, because I don't find the strongest moves and he doesn't find the strongest defense. But he did eventually. I did manage to creep my dragon in, and then at this point, this was I think a nice tactic with the lance, trying to displace his gold. Same idea as the Elmo had earlier with the pawn drop there. Without the gold here defending the king, things fall apart in a hurry. So he didn't move the gold. He moved the silver, but then I can take the gold and take here. And there's actually mate in 5 at this point, starting with yeah, I have to start with the dragon move. If I start with the dragon move, there's a 5-move mate from here. But even the way I played it, it was still a mate in 8. I just did it a little bit in a little bit of a slower fashion, but there was no escape. As you saw when he ran forward, there was no safety in the middle of the board either. So that's how the game ended. Anyway, hope you guys enjoyed it, and I will see you next time. Bye now.